Hey YouTube, it's POD7 once again, and I am bored once again, so I'm going to do another tier list video. This one is BioWare romances, specifically Mass Effect and Dragon Age characters. I'm just going to do them as they're posted here, so uh, you're going to know my tastes within 5 characters, I believe. um, these had different titles. The different tiers had different titles. So if you want to do this one for yourself, um, good luck, I guess. Um, just type in BioWare on the tier maker website and it'll come up. But so here we go. Starting with Garris Vicarian. Um, I've only watched his romance on YouTube. I've never played it because I very rarely play Bro Shep in Mass Effect. I mean, I very rarely play Fem Shep without going for Liara. Is what I meant to say. um, yeah. One of the things I have an issue with when it comes to Mass Effect romances is all these different alien species, especially when it gets to these Angarans. Like they've never seen humans before, so what would the difference make between whether your main character is male or female or not? But and yet somehow they still have gender locked romance. It's silly. But anyway, back to Garrus. He's of course one of the best characters they've ever written. Um, his romance is awkward to an extent, but he's got enough charm there that it kind of smooths itself over. So I'm gonna put it into medium average. Obviously, he's a total bro, but um, yeah, I see him as a bro, basically. Next up, we have Alistair from Dragon Age, or Alistair, however you say it. Um, I believe I went through one time and made him like if there was an achievement tied to it, I probably did it, but yeah, I don't remember. But that also means I played through Garrus as well. Because I'm pretty sure he had an achievement for romancing him in Mass Effect 2. So, hmm. Okay, maybe I did play it, but Alistair is a bro as well. I mean, I would actually go a little bit further and say he's more like literally brotherly than Garrus. Like, yeah, he's just he's he's naive in a way for most of the series. So, um, yeah, I know he's got a lot of fans, and I'm a fan of his, but the romance is just kind of uh, I'm trying to think of a word that won't get me in trouble. It's too vanilla, I guess. Sorry if that angers anybody. I'm going to go ahead and put him into medium average because you get to be his queen um, if you romance him, so that's pretty cool. Next up, we have Cullen, and we'll just put him where he belongs. Next up, we have the female Angaran, who's the museum caretaker. Um, Again, there was no reason why she had to be gender locked for males only. That seems really silly, especially since Sarah Ryder is an archaeologist, and so they like share common interest. So it was very disappointing for me. Um, Frick, what was his name? Oh no. Something Wall. Blackwall. That doesn't sound right. Maybe it is. Time to look it up on my phone. His real name is, spoilers, Thomas Rainier, I believe. I like him as a character, but his romance hinges so much on him, like, not wanting. Like, his character arc is he knows his time is coming, basically. And, so the romance feels like he should know better, in a way. I've only watched it, like, once or twice, I'm pretty sure. I think I accidentally romanced him the first time I played, because I was in Dragon Age. I always start off with a female character or with a male character, and so when I went to play the second time through with a female character, I was just flirting with everybody just to see who was available, and then I think I ended up with Blackwall. So I just don't really remember much about the romance story of Blackwall. I remember, like, his main arc, his redemption. Um, so I'm gonna say it could have been better, just because it's not memorable enough for me to care about. Next up, we have PB from Mass Effect Andromeda. Ah, gosh, she it's she's not my favorite character type. She's a lot like Sarah from Dragon Age Inquisition, only not as deep. She's just a goofball, basically. Um, yeah, hers was okay. It was more. It was just kind of cutesy. Like, oh, she doesn't want anything permanent because she's, all about change and the future and stuff like that. So, um, I'm gonna put it at could have been better. I wasn't disappointed with it, because she does have some good lines. Um, her loyalty mission is kind of it's just weird. Okay, this is gonna be uh, possibly polarizing. I'm not sure, but Cassandra Pentaghast is the best companion in the entire Dragon Age series, in my opinion. She's not a tank; she's the tank. Um, if you do her stats right and give her the right equipment, she can, like, solo a dragon by herself on maybe not the highest difficulty, but certainly up to, see, I can't remember if it's Mass Effect that has veteran hardcore insanity. I think so. So whatever hardcore, like the earlier dragons, she can solo. But we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about romances, and this is another one that um, I'm kind of going against my own categories here. But I was disappointed that she was not bi, because she is very queer coded. But I think they they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with uh, the movie, whatever it was called, Dragon Age Dark Dawn or something like that, um, where she was already with a guy in that movie, and then for some reason they didn't bring him into the series. So they just went on the assumption that because she was with a guy in the movie, she was straight, and I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But as far as her romance goes with guys, with female or with male inquisitors, I really, really enjoyed it. She's just she has so many different dimensions to her. She's she's shy, but she can get in people's faces. She loves trashy novels, but she's super serious on just about every other facet of life. And yeah, she's an amazing character. Like, that's why I have her in the top tier and not in disappointing, even though I was disappointed that she wasn't available to everybody. Um, I think she also would have been a uh, a great character to have class locked, since her previous love was a mage. I think it would be too soon for her to be with another mage. I think that would have been a okay call to make. Um, but yeah, I've spent too much time on her. Korra, she is could have been better. For several reasons, similar to Cassandra, but I also just don't think she's that interesting. she's she's kind of like Alistair in a way, where I just see her more as like a sisterly type. Um, her her whole arc with the huntresses and all that stuff really didn't do anything for me. And of course, her bridesmaid syndrome or whatever. uh, I think it could have been explored in more detail with her, maybe like taking command at one point or trying to, but um, yeah, it's still all right. I love her voice. They picked a really good voice for her, I think. So she's fantastic. Um, I can't think of the actress's name off the top of my head. I feel really bad. Let me look it up right quick. Let's see, Korra, Mass Effect, Andromeda, Jules de Jong, I believe is how you pronounce that name. She did a wonderful job. Next up, we have Morrigan from Dragon Age. What can I say? Claudia Black. I've been a huge fan since Farscape, so this was very welcome surprise. Um, just a smidgen disappointed that she also was not available to women, because I know a lot of ladies are into Morrigan. They either want to be her or they want to be with her. But I'm also glad they did have a very good arc of uh, letting the female hero of Ferelden be her first true friend, which was a really cool arc for her, personal arc. Um, yeah, she's wonderful. I wish they had included her in some DLC for Dragon Age 2 or something, but we're going to keep her at amazing. Uh, Mostly out of respect to her. I don't think she'd ever want to be married, so I'm not putting her in wife material. Dorian. Um, Gosh, I feel like he's going to have a bigger, pretty decent sized role anyway in the next Dragon Age, because a lot of signs are pointing to Tevinter. He is an interesting character. Um, I almost feel like he's too like there's too much of a modern voice to him for a dark fantasy game. Um, I don't know if that's just the experience of the writers that wrote him or not, but he's funny and charismatic, of course. So I enjoyed watching his on YouTube. I don't believe I ever actually romanced him or not, but yeah, he's definitely good. He's my usual mage, I believe, unless I'm forgetting somebody. But next up we have this. Oh God, what's his name? Thane. Sorry. Thane could have been better. Um, Shep just really got screwed in Mass Effect 3 for all of her romances except for Garris and Liara, basically. Thane went out with a bang, sort of. I really think there should have been a way to tell him to stay put. I'm trying to remember how he gets there to to where Kai Lang starts attacking the senator guy. But anyway, yeah, I would. I think there should have been an option to try to like make him stay at the hospital, and then maybe he doesn't save the senator, but you still have to chase down Kai Lang and all that. But at least you'd still have more time with Thane. I guess would be the trade-off there. Yeah, he's his like instant recall memory stuff. I never really clicked with that, but it's interesting to have a character like that. I also kind of wonder why he wasn't a companion in Mass Effect 3. Like, this would have been the game to have companions that can die mid-game, because there's tons of them that they just show up and they can, or it's possible that they die or can die, and so I think they could have gotten away with that. Next up is Fenris. I'm not a huge fan of Fenris. I play a lot of warrior and rogue. I don't play very many mages, so I don't know if I'm just missing out when it comes to Fenris. And some like spicy dialogue with mage hawks, but yeah, I'm just gonna say he's down there with his boy Cullen there. Just not a fan, honestly. Maybe he'll be more fleshed out in the next game because it seems like Tevinter and the slavery trade are going to be a big deal in the next game. I am trying to see who this next guy is. I have no idea. Who are you? He looks like a Mass Effect dude. I have no idea, so I'm going to put him in unpalatable. Oh boy, Anders. Speaking of unpalatable, holy crap. Probably. I enjoy the performance of Anders, and he's an interesting. I think he would have made an interesting antagonist for Dragon Age 2, but as a companion, I'm not a big fan. Yeah, just don't like him. Sorry. Iron Bull could have been better, I would say. I'm really not into like. It seems like a lot of these type of games where there's romance in them. There's always that one character that's like super into BDSM and stuff, and it's just not my thing. I support people that are into it as long as they're doing it consensually and in a healthy way. It's whatever you want to do, man. But I don't know. I like Iron Bull as a character. I think they could have done a lot more with him in the Inquisition. But his romance is just kind of there for me. It's very heavily based off of sex, and I'm not like super into that. Of course, sex is always, not always, but definitely part of romantic journeys in a lot of ways. But this was just a lot, like more than I care to have. So could have been better. Would have been nice to see a more vulnerable side to him, I guess. I don't know. Next up, we have Isabella. I'm going to put her in wife material because she's amazing. um, she's very much the typical roguish love interest in a fantasy series. Um, but I think what do I want to say here? The level of confidence that she has and the carefree nature she has towards physical intimacy makes her stand out a little bit more. Of course, you can meet her in the Pearl in the first game. Um, but yeah, her she's so much fun to play as in Inquisition too. I kind of wish she had been actually in like maybe one of the DLCs or something. But I she would have been. I've always championed the idea of a DLC for Inquisition where you play Wicked Grace at the tavern, and it's kind of like a poker night at the um, inventory or whatever it was called on Steam, where different characters show up and play cards, and then they have different dialogue depending on who's at the table. I think they should have done a DLC like that, and then just had different characters from the Dragon Age universe come in, and of course Isabella showing up. I've been calling her Isabel this whole time. It's because I had a coworker named Isabel recently, and I kept calling her Isabella, and then I finally got used to calling her Isabel, and she quit. So, but Isabella she would be an excellent Wicked Grace player. I think. I believe is that the. Uh, now I'm doubting myself on everything. Wicked Grace Dragon Age. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think she would have been awesome in a DLC kind of like that. Um, she was awesome in the multiplayer mode where she's officially an admiral. Apparently, hopefully, like it would have been cool to have Josephine and Isabella have some interaction. Like maybe Isabella brings or helps her secure a trade route or something like that. You know, anything small like that would have been cool. But especially with Hawk reappearing in Inquisition, we get to hear a little bit about her, but not much. Um, yeah, it's a typical romance for high fantasy, or not high fantasy, for dark fantasy, in a way, medieval fantasy. Um, but I just like her. Let's see, Jaw can go in unpalatable. We might actually make a new tier for him because he was the worst character in Andromeda, in my opinion. He was all over the place, but we'll just leave him there. I'm still trying to figure out who that guy is. Who the guy between Anders and Fenris is. Is that Steve? The pilot from Mass Effect 3? Because I don't see him down here. Maybe it's Steve. If it's Steve, then I'll put him in. Could have been better. Because obviously I don't even remember if that's him or not, so. Jack. Jack is another um, character that she specifically says that she's been with men and women, so there's no reason why she couldn't have been bi, in my opinion. So if we're gonna put her in amazing, she also I don't think she would want to ever get married, really. So that's where she's going next to Morgan. um, Jack was awesome. I love her stuff in the Citadel DLC, which don't even get me started on Citadel DLC, like the greatest add-on ever made for a video game. Yeah, Jack is cool. I think she has one of the more striking looks in the Mass Effect series. Like you instantly know who it is when you look at it. I look at her. So we got Jacob. He is another boring boy that we're just gonna leave in the bottom. Um, there's probably some kind of underlying hook between all these unpalatable guys that I am not aware of, but whatever that trait is, I abhor it. um, but yeah, Jacob is just so boring. His loyalty mission sucks, and he cheats on you. So garbage character, in my opinion. Josephine is wife material for sure. Um, incredibly smart, charming, of course. Um, definitely a slow burn with her, but that's fine. Um, just in general, with the advisors at the war board with the missions and stuff, I wish there had been more to that. Because they were had such great writing in there, and almost all of it was in the text, like the flavor text stuff. And I wish you could have just been like whenever a mission only had two, like you could select either Colin or Josephine. I wish you could have been like state your case, and it would have had them like say a couple lines about why they think they should be the ones to do this, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Hopefully they expand upon that in the next game. But as far as Josephine's romance goes, it's great hearing about her past as a um, crap. What's the word? A bard. Was she a bard or just a rogue? I can't remember. But um, yeah, her her tales about that, and her and Cassandra both. I just like going to Val Royale and just walking around. It's kind of sad, but um, yeah, they just it's awesome. Like I believe you meet up with, you meet her suitor in Val Royale. That's what it is. Um, yeah, just uh, it's a very classic fairy tale type romance that it kind of it stands out because everything else is so dark and heavy, and then hers is just kind of really sweet and classical, and so I'm a big fan of Josephine. Next up, we have Raphael Sabarge. No, wait. Kaidan Alenko. I'm going to put it in disappointing, if only for the fact that um, he's very boring. If it wasn't for Citadel and Mass Effect 3 in general, I think he would be unpalatable, but we got a little bit of interesting stuff with him in 3 and Citadel, so um, yeah, I just wish both Kaidan and Ashley had been bi from the start. I mean, the fact that they were still putting romance stuff for Bro Shep for Kaidan in Mass Effect 2 when they had already decided not to have it in Mass Effect 1 was kind of strange. And then for Femshep and Ashley, there's dialogue in all three games for them having a relationship, but they just never put it in for some reason. So that's mostly my disappointing rant about that. Um, Liliana, I'm gonna put her. I really liked her in Origins, but I'm actually gonna put her in medium average. Um, she's just such a dark character in Inquisition, man. And she's like, I just want to go home to my love. Please just let me go home. That kind of thing. And it's like, man, if only. Um, her treatment of the hero, if the hero isn't favorable to the Chantry, is kind of why she's not, that keeps her from amazing, in my opinion. It'd be better if there was some way to convince her that maybe the Chantry isn't the best place in the world. But it kind of seems like by the end of Inquisition she understands that. So I don't know. Maybe I should put her in amazing, but um, yeah, I like Liliana. It's kind of hilarious that she got her own like DLC in Origins, like just completely unrelated for the most part to the rest of the game. Because like Morgan had Witch Hunt, but that leads into the rest of the series, whereas Liliana's song is just a flashback basically. So they definitely had big plans for her, I think. But Morgan ended up being the one that stood out the most. Um, so next up, we have Jacob 2. Only even more annoying because he says 3 times in Andromeda that he's learned his lesson, and yet he continues to do the same thing over and over again. So I just can't stand him. The best part about his character is when you go play soccer on Padromos, whatever the first planet is that you make a settlement on. But yeah, I never take him on missions. Everybody else is way better than him. So um, Liara, wife material for sure. Um, she goes through some serious shit. If you read the comics and the novels and stuff, and all the exposition and the Shadowbreaker DLC, like holy crap. Of course, amazing character, amazing companion, just gameplay wise, but her maturity throughout the series, uh, like second game, she's really just like everything has to be seen from a cold lens. And then by the third game, she's like, okay, there's some hope left, even though it's the end of the galaxy as we know it because the Reapers are here. But she still finds hope somehow in some ways. So, big fan of the blueberry. Um, the very end of Mass Effect 3 when she uh, embraces eternity with you, basically, or whatever. That was a really sweet moment in my eyes. I also like the leftover stuff in Andromeda, like the tapes that you can listen to of her. That was a nice touch from them. Ashley, I'm gonna put in could have been better. Um, Once again, kind of like with Liliana, like Ashley feels like she's transported from modern time, like our time, into the future, based on her beliefs. Um, yeah, I think they just kind of dropped the ball with her as far as what she was meant to be, like the kind of a spiritual character in a very high concept sci-fi setting. It was yeah, just it didn't work. It was better to just have her be like the tomboy that has a very soft, sensitive, vulnerable side that's into poetry and everything. If they would have skewed more towards that instead of she might be racist because of her religious beliefs, that was not something I cared for anyway. Um, but yeah, I don't know. She's better than Kaidan as a companion, I believe, in the first game, so that's why um, I might have a slight bias towards her, but for the most part, I have a lot of issues, like I explained earlier, with him. So we have Merrill up next. I'm going to put her in Amazing because she has a very strong arc through Dragon Age 2. She definitely does a lot of growing up over the 9 years or whatever that the game takes place. She also, I feel like, from what I remember, she has like the widest distance between consequences based on the actions you take in her personal quests. Like the destruction of the mirror is huge and devastating to her. Um, if you do it anyway. Um, yeah, she's I don't want to say naive because she's quick to learn about things, but I also don't want to say she's ignorant because there's a lot of negative connotations with it, the word ignorant these days. She just doesn't know any better in a lot of the ways of love. So that's interesting, especially human relations. Um, so that was an interesting thing to explore with her. Um, I love the little chats you have with her in her little hovel in the elf section of Hightown. Yeah, they're in Hightown, I believe. It's the low end of Hightown. uh, Miranda, wow. I really like Miranda as a character. Um, gosh, I might have to make a Miranda tier. Let's just put her in amazing. I love Yvonne Strahovski. She's fantastic. The Her whole arc of am I a real person? Like because I was designed, does that give me the right to? She goes from being I'm the best because I was literally made that way to what am I? Do I even deserve to be alive? Kind of stuff. It's quite a swing, but it's also an interesting ride, especially when you help her with with her sister and with against her father and everything. The casino night is pretty fun. Um, the whole thing about her being infertile because of her genetic tailoring is a pretty big bummer. I wish they had made a bigger deal about that because you just, as far as I know, it's not even mentioned by her. It's just all in the Shadowbroker DLC, like information. So, um, yeah, that should have been a bigger deal, especially if she's only going to be if she's going to be an option only for Bro Shep. Um, so I don't know why they didn't capitalize on that. Oh crap! What was her name? Tamara? That can't be right. Looking up something else on my phone. Samara. That's what it was. Yeah, I knew it, but I looked it up anyway just in case. Samara has an interesting one because it's not very permanent. It's kind of a one night stand kind of deal that leads up. It starts in Mass Effect 2 and ends in Mass Effect 3 Citadel. Um, I think this was the perfect character to do that with because she's so honor bound by her code and everything that it makes sense that she can't promise you forever, but she can promise you tonight, kind of thing. That totally fits with her character arc. Um, she was she's definitely not like any other companion. Um, I think maybe Solus. That's a pretty big stretch, but like as far as adhering to their beliefs, um, yeah, Samara. I would put her in. Could have been better if only because there could have been more tension and like close moments where she like backs out at the last second kind of thing. And maybe just more time spent with her in Mass Effect 3 once you have the Citadel DLC unlocked. Would have been interesting. But I love Samara as a character. Sebastian Vale. Unpalatable. Solus. Disappointing. I don't want to give away too much from spoilers, but he's elf only, so I wish they would have pushed that a little more. Like, maybe your Inquisitor is not the type to give up so easily. And so Solus has to eventually put his foot down, like, no, humans always take everything, but you're not going to take me, and that could have been a hint at things to come. But yeah, I like him just enough not to put him in unpalatable, basically. We have Susie, right? Susie from Mass Effect Andromeda. She was the ship scientist. Suvi, that's right, not Susie. Suvi Anwar. Dr. Suvi Anwar. She was their second attempt at a religious figure in this high concept sci-fi setting. I think it was a little bit more successful because it was a more realistic way of looking at God and science for being so far flung in the future, and with all the everything they know about aliens and the Reapers and everything. Well, I guess Andromeda characters don't know about the Reapers that much, but just the stuff she learns about the Angarans and the cat and everything. Yeah, she's interesting for sure. I like the idea that she's interested in all this new stuff, but then she struggles to let go of Earth and her family. That was an interesting take. I also like how awkward it is between Sarah and Suvi. It's just it's very cute for sure. So I'm gonna put her in medium average because she's kind of like an upgraded Kelly in a way, Kelly Chambers. I'm also glad that there's. I would put Kelly Chambers and could have been better because obviously you don't actually ever really have a romance with her. I also would have put the reporter character that was the IGN lady, Jessica Chobit or whatever her name was. I would have put that in unpalatable. She would have been the only female unpalatable character. Because that was just like the most obvious case of stunt casting in the world. That could have easily have been Ada Wong, or not Ada Wong, Emily Wong from the first game. And like, I don't want to get started on that. Oh boy. No, in fact, I'm going to actually get on that for a little bit. I think going into Mass Effect 3, if you have a renegade leaning Shep, then you should have had Kalisa as your reporter chick, frontline reporters. And if you were a Paragon, then you would have had Emily, is what I think they should have done. That would have been a interesting consequence of your actions from the first two games. But nope, had to get old hamster cheeks in there. And God, just some of her dialogue is the worst, some of the worst in the series. Tally, amazing. Not quite wife material because, again, I don't know why, especially the Dextrose alien species, why they would care between male or female since you're not going to be mating anyway. Like, why would they care if you're male or female? So, especially with that's once again like with Ashley and FemShep, they had dialogue that they put in the game. It's in the game's files for FemShep and Tally for all, maybe not all 3 games, but 2 and 3 for sure. And it's just like, why not? Just do it. So maybe if there's an HD remaster, they can add that stuff in there one day. Who knows? Sarah was never an agreeable girl, from what I've been told. She's a very interesting case of a character who is very lore rich, but she doesn't give a shit about it. So you kind of like, give me more. Like, you're always asking for more from Sarah, and she's just like, eh. Will you give me candy if I give you more? So I'm gonna put her in medium average because I feel like she has a satisfying relationship in Inquisition, and you can also get married to her, which is a big deal in the Trespasser DLC? The last one, whatever it was called. So that's a huge plus in her favor. Like, from what I remember, there's only like 3 characters in this whole tier list that you can get married to. It's crazy. I'm gonna do Zevran next. I'm gonna skip over Vetra for now. Zevran is medium amazing, or medium average. No, I'm gonna put him in amazing. He's the only male to make it into amazing or higher. He's just a wonderful character. Such a jolly, carefree assassin. Like, it's hard not to love Zevran in a way. Even in the darkest sections of his personal quests, it's kind of like he's still cracking jokes, and he's definitely all about you every time. Like, once you commit, kind of like with Liliana, there's not much of a jealousy factor going on there, but eventually you do have to commit, and once you are committed, he definitely is like, despite his playboy nature, he's definitely all about you, and so he's an interesting guy for sure. And of course, he flirts with everybody, and I can appreciate any character that flirts with anybody. No restrictions on that. So he's a fun character, and we'll end up with Vetra. I'm going to put her in amazing. Not quite wife material. She has a lot of issues to work out with her sister, I believe, still. I really, really wish that game hadn't tanked so bad. Beyond the fact that it has the best gameplay in the series, I think Vetra and Drac. Wait, that's his name, Grandpa Drac, right? Yeah. Those 2 characters are the best companions by far, and just it pains me that we're not going to get to see them ever again, for sure. The only way I could see them even referring to Andromeda ever again is if it somehow turns out that it was a simulation or some kind of dream or something. But yeah, we're definitely not getting Andromeda 2, which sucks in several ways. But yeah, Vetra is good. She is, I would say, the most hesitant out of all of the romances, for some fairly good reasons. So it's a very rewarding experience when you finally get to kiss her and you confirm each other's feelings. It's a very satisfying romance, which is kind of a hard thing to do. They managed to only do it with one person in Andromeda, so um, yeah, I might have to do a whole separate video on Andromeda, but just talking about it. But anyway, so there we have it. That's our Mass Effect romances. Sorry if any of your favorites are in Unpalatable. I'm sure there's a thread amongst all these guys that uh, I hate, and that's why they're all here. Something they have in common. Um, but yeah, everything above Unpalatable, I found enjoyment at some level. So if one of your favorites isn't disappointing, um, like two of these are basically I just wanted more and for more people. And Solus is an egg. Could have been better. I think it says a lot that there's two from Andromeda in there. Let's see, one, two from Inquisition, and then yeah, from there on, I medium, average, and above. I genuinely just enjoyed. So it's just personal taste from there. So okay, that's another one wrapped up. Hopefully this one wasn't an hour long. I have no idea how long I've been going, but hope everybody's doing all right out there. It's getting pretty crazy around here, so hopefully everybody stays safe, stay home, um, and we'll see you in the next one, which might be recorded right now. I'm not sure. Um, this has been POD7, and I'm signing out.